Welcome to another episode of Mommy Speaks Canto and Mando. 媽咪講廣東話和普通話 where you learn how to casually chat in Canto and Mando as they're related to health, medical, and whatever else matters. These videos reinforce the lessons from the podcast, Cantonese and Mandarin for Medical Matters and More. If you're interested in hearing the podcast, the link is in the information area below. Today's episode is the continuation of the new dialogue in our current world of COVID-19. But let's first recap the last line from the previous ep.
你鋪華法啊，你呢個靚妹，我比你更老，我都仲未接種 COVID-19 疫苗，點會輪到你啊？瞧你說的，你這個丫頭，我比你更老，我也還沒接種 COVID-19 疫苗，怎麼會輪到你呀？Dude, where do you get off saying that? Compared to you, I'm way older. I haven't even gotten the COVID-19 vaccination. Why should it be your turn?
And what do we hear next?
你急咩嘢啊？你急什麼呀？ What's your rush?
如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。If I don't get vaccinated, I think I gotta cancel my upcoming physical therapy.
We've learned all the words in the first sentence, but let's look back on 急急 for a moment. 急急 means emergency or urgency. So we'll see it in words like emergency room, 急症室, 急診室, 急症室急診室, or urgent care. 緊急護理緊急護理緊急護理緊急護理 So you might hear 去緊急護理未必划算，因為可能係急症室先至會提供最合適嘅醫療。去緊急護理未必划算，因為可能是急診室才能有最合適的醫療。Going to urgent care is not necessarily cost-effective, because it's possible that only the ER has the most appropriate treatment. In our dialogue, it's
你急咩嘢啊？你急什麼呀？
Let's move on to the next line.
如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。
Now, we've heard the canto num before, meaning to think, from the podcast episode 29, COVID-19, Couch Potatoes Unite, where num was in the fragment 咩都唔使諗, meaning not having to think about anything, that in the dialogue was emptying the mind, and this was for during the car commute. For that episode, num was paired with the Mando 想 in 什么也不想. So, not having to think about anything, emptying the mind, 咩都唔使諗，什麼也不想. In that same episode, the num 想 pairing popped up later in the dialogue in the fragment, but if you really think about it, 但係如果你真正諗下一下，但是如果你真正的想一想， but if you really think about it, 但係如果你真正諗下一下， 但是如果你真正的想一想 However, in today's dialogue, the Canto num is paired with the Mando 觉得 that also means to think. And we've also learned this term, 觉得 before, paired with its Canto equivalent, 覺得觉得覺得 in the previous podcast episode 22, condoms and STDs, in the clause, don't you think your insinuations towards us are a bit much? 你唔覺得咁樣對我哋含沙射影太過分嗎？你不覺得這樣對我們含沙射影太過分嗎？ Don't you think your insinuations are a bit much? 你唔覺得咁樣對我哋含沙射影太過分咩？你不覺得這樣對我們含沙射影太過分嗎？ Now, is there any particular reason why, in today's dialogue, we're using the Canto num paired with the Mando 觉得 for their meaning of to think, instead of the previous first example of Canto's num with Mando's 想, or the previous second example of the Mando 觉得 paired with the Canto 覺得? To explain our word choices, let's start by first looking at the past examples. Not having to think about anything, that is, emptying the mind, for the Canto num Mando 想 pairing in 咩都唔使諗，什麼也不想. Here, the Canto num and Mando 想 are using the pondering over, the more emotive type of thinking over type of meaning. So, 咩都唔使諗，什麼也不想 expresses the more thoughtful way of thinking, or rather not thinking. 唔使諗，不想. So, 咩都唔使諗，什麼也不想 means to not have to ponder over things, not sweating over the small stuff, nor even the bigger, more encompassing problems at large. Letting go, emptying the mind, not pondering over something, anything, can be one way to survive the current day-to-day assault to the senses. Of course, we can't be in denial and pretend bad things aren't happening. But sometimes you may need to take a break to keep your sanity, to rejuvenate. So a bit of 咩都唔使諗，什麼也不想 might help you navigate from one day to the next. For the Canto Mando 覺得覺得 pairing in don't you think your insinuations towards us are a bit much? 你唔覺得咁樣對我哋含沙射影太過分咩？你不覺得這樣對我們含沙射影太過分嗎？ Don't you think your insinuations are a bit much? 你唔覺得咁樣對我哋含沙射影太過分咩？你不覺得這樣對我們含沙射影太過分嗎？ If you watch enough drama, you know that when insinuations, innuendos are going on, then you know there's also going to be some strategizing, scheming types of machinations going on. Things that call for the kind of analytical type of thinking that 覺得覺得 lends more of the tone for. So we have 你唔覺得咁樣對我哋含沙射影太過分咩？你不覺得這樣對我們含沙射影太過分嗎？ Now, in our dialogue,
唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。唉，如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。If I don't get vaccinated, I think I gotta cancel my upcoming physical therapy.
Here, both the Canto and the Mando 觉得 are employing aspects of the kind of analytical thinking that goes with the weighing of the pros and cons of going to a physical therapy session without the vaccination, as well as the emotional kind of thinking that encompasses some disappointment that's not overtly expressed but can be felt in the overall sentence that starts with a sigh.
唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。唉，如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。Now, technically, we could have used the Canto version of 覺得 to get 唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。But Canto's softens the sentence a bit, and even though 覺得 can also mean to feel something, like when you say 我覺得你最近唔係幾開心，我覺得你最近不太開心。I feel like lately you haven't been too happy. However, even in this example, there's still a certain degree of analysis going on, but to a lesser degree in the current dialogue.
Well, I think we should move on to the next new word, 取消, 取消, meaning to cancel. This is one of those compound words whose root components can clue you into what its resulting compound word, 取消, 取消, means. Out of the various meanings of the first root component, 取, to take, get, choose, fetch, let's focus on its meaning of to choose. Choose what? Out of the various meanings of the second root component of 取消, 取消, 消, 消 means to disappear, vanish, eliminate, spend like spending time, or to have to, need. So let's focus though on the to vanish or eliminate meaning. So put the two root components together, to choose, to vanish, or eliminate, and you get that combined 取消, 取消's meaning of to cancel. In the sentence,
唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。唉，如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。
The next new word terms are 嚟緊, 即將到來. That means the coming or the approaching of something. Obviously, we're not dealing with a simple word that's just differently pronounced in either Canto or Mando, like we had with the previous 取消, 取消. Here, we've got two very different terms, 嚟緊 and 即將到來. That means the same thing, that something is coming or approaching your way. Let's look at these different terms individually. On the Canto side, 嚟緊 is made up of the root component 嚟, that can mean a whole lot of things like the verbs to come, arrive, or it can be the final particle to indicate you have just done something or been somewhere, or it can be a preposition to mean to, for, since, in order to, but we'll concentrate on the more context-driven meanings of come and arrive. The other root component of 嚟緊 is the multi-meaninged word 緊, with the definitions of tight, firm, secure, fast, close, strict, rigorous, tense, urgent, pressing, short of money, but in the context of 嚟緊, its 緊's function as an aspect marker for an ongoing action, which can be like the physical action of a dog in the process of running, coming towards you, like you might hear in 狗嚟緊啦. But 嚟緊 can also be the figurative coming meaning, like the coming of the next PT appointment, the upcoming physical therapy appointment.
我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療.
Now let's look at the Mando, 即將到來. The first root component, 即將, means on the eve of, to be about to be on the verge of. And 到來 means to arrive, arrival, advent. So it makes sense that on the verge of arrival, 即將到來 would mean the same thing as 嚟緊, that something is coming, approaching. And to see how these terms play out in the sentence,
我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療. 我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療.
And just to see how they work in a different kind of sentence, 嚟緊嘅星期四係7月22號. 即將到來的星期四是7月22號. The coming Thursday is July 22nd. Now, what follows in the dialogue, 物理治療, 物理治療, for physical therapy, we've actually heard before in a previous podcast, episode 13, no way, PT for fracture, in the sentence, no way, you still haven't started physical therapy? How's your fracture gonna heal? 唔係啊嘛，你仲未開始做物理治療，咁你骨折點樣康復㗎？不會吧，你還沒開始做物理治療，那你骨折怎麼康復呢？物理治療, 物理治療 is also mentioned in the podcast episode 19, Cataract Drama Queen, when showing how 物理治療, 物理治療's latter root component, 治療, 治療 can be a verb, as in 白內障可以治療嘅，白內障可以治療的。Cataracts can be treated. Or as a noun, as in the compound word 物理治療, 物理治療, that literally means physical treatment. That is to say, physical therapy, PT. Now we're going to talk about PT, we might as well talk about OT. 作業治療, 作業治療, which for the context can take on the literal meaning of task or how one operates type of therapy, that is, occupational therapy. So if someone were to be in a big accident and had loss of limbs, then not only would that person undergo 物理治療, 物理治療, and 作業治療, 作業治療, she, he, they might also benefit from 心理治療, 心理治療, psychotherapy. But let's get back to the 物理治療, 物理治療, and see how it plays out in the dialogue.
我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療. 我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療.
Okay, let's hear the two lines in their respective languages.
你急咩嘢啊？
唉，如果唔接種疫苗，我諗我要取消嚟緊嘅物理治療。
你急什麼呀？
唉，如果不接種疫苗，我覺得我要取消即將到來的物理治療。
What's your rush?
If I don't get vaccinated, I think I gotta cancel my upcoming physical therapy. 好啦，我哋講到呢度。好嘞，我們說到這兒。
大家保持身體健康，大家保持身體健康。下次再見，下次再見。